Hey there, thanks for stopping by. We're going to continue the series of walking through all the parts in the game. Today we're going to be focusing on the Rare Nizari Parts. Hope you enjoy, and let's get into it. So let's quickly walk through the parts. We'll then go to the Incarnate selection screen to show you how to find the Incarnate, and then we'll actually get into the gameplay. So the mind ability is called Cunning, the body ability is called Flashkick, and the soul ability is called Spiteblade. So to find your Incarnate, again, we're looking at a rare Incarnate, so it's going to have a blue border. We're looking for Nizari icons. So that's this icon here, and this is the rare border. We can tell it is all Nizari parts by these purple buttons here. And we can tell that we've got a balance affinity Incarnate by this icon, this gold icon. We get balance affinity Incarnates by having one affinity associated with each one of the parts. They can't have the same affinities. So we've got a void affinity on Cunning, a life affinity on Flashkick, and death affinity on Spiteblade. So because there's one of each on all those parts, that turns into a balance affinity Incarnate. So let's get into the gameplay of each of these part skills. The first skill we're going to look at is called Cunning. It's the mind part of the Nizari. And it's attack enemies in your presence and then steal 20% of their initiative. So initiative in this game is kind of the turn meter or speed of the Incarnates. In this skill, it shows attack as on the card, but remember, it's very specific, attack enemies in your presence. So what that means, it's going to be based off your presence stat, and then this Incarnate has a presence of 2 based on all the part skills. So you can see that it does show 2 spaces away from the Incarnate, so it is based on the presence. We'll go ahead and use it, and we should see that the turn meter, or this yellow bar here of this Incarnate, should reduce by 20%. Let's go ahead and get in there so we can see the ability and use it. There we go. Okay, so it definitely reduced the turn meter by 20%, did some damage, and remember, it will do that for any enemy in your presence. So it's an AoE ability, basically. So let's move on to the next skill. All right, so the next ability we're going to look at is called Flashkick. Push yourself 2 spaces away from a higher space or target. So that's the first part of the skill. Then attack enemies in a line and blind them for 2 turns. So this is going to have a few things going on. So first we need to have a higher space or a higher enemy within this range here. So we have that in this space right here. So it will push us back 2 spaces. Then it's going to attack enemies in a line. And what line means is it's going to be a line directly in front of the Incarnate that's attacking. So it's not going to be based on your range. It's that line. So it is an AoE ability, but it's specific to just those spaces directly in front. The one thing I'm not sure of that we're going to find out is whether or not that line is based off of a range or presence skill. So we'll go ahead and use it and we'll see what happens. But if it does hit the enemy Incarnate, it's going to place a blind on them. And just to make sure I get this right, yeah. So the blind makes them unable to select an enemy for their next 2 turns. Well, in this case for 2 turns, but blind is you can't select an enemy. So basically they can move around all they want, but they actually can't attack any enemies because they can't select them. I'm sure that you can actually go ahead and use like skills like heals, but you can't attack any enemies. So it's a pretty powerful ability. I really like this one in the game so far. Let's go ahead and use it and see what happens. So we'll select it. So there's my selection. I can push away from either of these 2. And I'll go ahead and use this one. There's my push and there's my range down. So it's showing that, yeah, so what it looks like it's based on the presence of the Incarnate. So it does the attack and pushes back at the same time. So let's check the debuff. So you are blind and have 0 range. So I'm going to go ahead and end the turn here and show you that the enemy doesn't attack. So it can move, but it shows you there no targets because it has nothing it can select in its range. All right, so let's move to the next ability called Spiteblade. So this one's based completely off your range. The range here on this Incarnate is 6. So it's a very large range for this game. You can see how much of the board it actually fills up. And it's, remember, anything that's based on your range and an attack like this, you have to be facing in the direction of where you're going to be attacking. So that's why the range is only showing out here and not behind you. So let's read it. Spiteblade, attack target enemy, then attack an adjacent enemy in front of you. So what's going to happen here is you can attack any enemy in that range. It's not an AoE attack, but it's just a single target attack for that range. But the second piece of it is, if there's an incarnate right in front of you, like this incarnate is right here, you will actually attack that incarnate again. So let's go ahead and use it, and we should see 2 attacks, the first and then the second one coming off that second part of the ability. So let's use it. I really love the animations of these attacks. You can see that shadowy secondary attack coming. That's pretty cool, but it did work. You got that first attack and second attack. What I want to do though is I want to try this again and show you that it's not going to attack that second time because it's not in that specific space. So we'll end the turn. They can't attack again because they were still blinded. And then we will just move out here. We know it has a large range, and we will use that ability again. So Spiteblade will attack. So there's the first attack. But you saw nothing, no secondary attack. So again, just be careful with the way you read all these. You have to make sure that you understand the way the abilities work in order for them to be most effective and you get the best use out of them. All right, so just another quick video. We went through all the Rare Nizari parts. Hope you enjoyed them. I hope it was informative. Gave you a really quick breakdown of what each of these does. That way you understand when you get into the game and start playing, you're not completely lost in how these abilities work. If you liked it, feel free to hit that like button. If you enjoy the content, toss a subscribe. Comments down below, which one of these was your favorite? Do you have any suggestions for how they could be better or how they might be used? Hope you enjoyed, and we will see you in the next one.